Welcome in, episode 360 of What's Right with Nick Wright. And as always, these episodes are brought to you by our friends at Boost Mobile. Demonze, part 2 of the gambling show. There might be a part 3. This has to be a tight 60. We did the AFC over-unders on Tuesday. Today we do the NFC over-unders, the miss the playoffs, division winners, and then we will see if we will do our Super Bowl exacta, which, while we've never won it, 3 years ago, we were potentially, oddly, a Brock Purdy injury away from getting it.
Oh, yeah.
We had Chiefs over Niners 3 years ago, and the Niners were in the NFC Championship game. 2 years ago, we had Chiefs over Cowboys, which was closer than we remember it to be. The Cowboys won 12 games that year. They had a home playoff game, and then Jordan Love came into Texas Stadium, and walked the dog on them. Last year, we were, halfway there. We had Chiefs over Bears, and so we will see what it is this year. What we forgot about at the end of last season is Demonze's 5 preseason bets crushed. We will recap those and give you his 5 preseason bets today as well. So all of that's coming up. The reason this has to be a tight 60, little cross-pod promotion, I'm going on Greg Rosenthal's NFL Daily right after this show, it's perfect for predictions week on the TV show, our gambling shows here. This is what Greg and I are doing, Demonze. An over-unders draft. Where, he picks, so if I have the number 1 pick, I take Chiefs over 11.5 wins. He then can't take that team, and we do it like that. So that'll be fun.
For all 32?
So all that coming up. Not going to have time for that. I don't know how I don't know, to be totally honest. I rarely do a pod after the pod, but Greg does such a good job, and I like doing stuff with the NFL folks, so I'm doing it. Also, by the way, speaking of pods, rate, subscribe, review, cross-promote, do all that. We don't get as many ratings on iTunes and Spotify as maybe it would be helpful to get. The reviews are nice. But I understand that actually you have to type things out. Who likes to do that? Just click the little 5 stars. We'd appreciate that. Follow us on YouTube. We will now get to things we're not going to get to, except we're briefly going to get to them, Demonze. Straight to voicemail, brought to you by our friends at Boost Mobile. Rashee Rice suspended for 6 games. More on that in a moment. Travis and Taylor engaged. More on that in a moment. And Tennis Corner U.S. Open update. More on that next week. I was there last night. Saw Holger Rune go down from the second row. I went to Alcaraz at Ash. Alcaraz won in straight sets. I then went over to, I could tell it was going to be a 5-set masterpiece between this big German fella and Holger Rune. And so we went there, sniped some really good seats at Old Court 17, was there till 11. Great. There's the U.S. Open update. Rashee Rice suspended 6 games, fair resolution. I had said I liked when it was going to be delayed. Other people made the point it'd be better to get it out of the way early. That's kind of a tomato-tomato thing, depending on how you see it. The reason I want to mention it is because, like all great conspiracy theories, the moment it is disproven, people act like it wasn't ever a conspiracy theory. The league's rigging it to help the Chiefs. The ratings. No one's going to watch Chiefs Eagles in week 2 if Rashee Rice isn't playing. That's why he's not suspended. Oh, wait, the real news is the league wanted to suspend him 10 to 12 games, and now he is missing the first 6 games? All right, we'll just move on to the next thing. Much like Travis and Taylor is a work. It's a publicity stunt. I don't give them 3 months. They're now about to become America's, basically America's royalty, and people will be like, I never had that take. We need take accountability in this world, Demonze. That's all I'm asking for. I have to own all my... How long do you think I'm going to be reminded I picked the Bears to go to the Super Bowl and put Caleb on Mahomes Mountain? For the rest of my life. Listen.
And that one time,
No problem with a spicy take. Just be accountable for it. All right, like, rate, subscribe, review, do all that. Quick recap, Demonze, of our AFC over-unders, and as always, all lines and odds courtesy of DraftKings. Here is how we ended up. You want to roll through it for the audience? Real quick before you do, go back and listen to Tuesday's show. I gave you all 16 picks, but we only made 6 bets. The overs were what, Demonze?
For the overs, we've got Jags at 7.5 at -125. Kansas City over 11.5 at +100. Vegas 6.5 at -145. For the unders, we've got Cincinnati 9.5 at -115. Indianapolis 7.5 -130. Then Denver 9.5 at +110.
Nice little plus money on that one. I think aside from the Chiefs, my favorite one is actually the Colts. I just think the Colts are going to be bad. Maybe I'm wrong. Shane Steichen is, he's found ways to win with that team. I think they're going to be bad. All right, let's get right to it. NFC East, starting with formerly America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Demonze?
You got the Cowboys over under, and you're taking the 8.5 on the under?
Yes. At -145, and this is a bet that I am actually making. I am not as confident as everyone else that Micah's going to be there week 1 or week 2. I think Micah going to get this second opinion on his back is upping the ante a bit on how far he is willing to take this. All he needs is to find the right doctor that will be like, oh, yeah, I do see. Yeah, that is a little concerning. And then Micah can sit for indefinitely and keep getting paid and hold out without paying the penalty of holding out. And the problem is, even with Micah, I am not a believer in the Cowboys this year. I'm not certain they're going to have as quality of an offensive line as Dak is used to. Listen, I like Tyler Booker, their rookie first-round pick, still a rookie starter from day one. I don't think that the George Pickens trade is going to pay the dividends some people think it's going to pay. I don't like their running game, and their defense with Micah is mediocre. Without Micah is going to be disastrous. The Cowboys under 8.5 wins, and I didn't love the Schottenheimer hire at coach. Cowboys under 8.5 wins, to me, is not only where I'm going with that, but one of the NFC bets we will make. You then have the Giants, Demonze, with your guy Russell Wilson at a meager 5.5 wins. Now,
rude.
-130 on the over is what it is. Now, the Giants' opening schedule, if I may pull it up real quick, is not exactly the way most teams would want to start a season, I must admit. They go Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, and then Chargers. Sorry, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers. You then get a nice little respite with the with the Saints, and then you face the Eagles. And then at the Broncos, then the Eagles again. So those opening 8 games, I think that, they can beat the Cowboys. They obviously should beat the Saints, but they're both on the road. I don't love the start of the schedule. However, they should have better quarterback play this year, Demonze, whether it's Russ or whether it's Jackson Dart. I think they might have the best front 4 in football. I think Abdul Carter will be an instant impact player, and Brian Daboll is desperate. So late in the year, there won't be any let's tank for draft position if they're sitting at 5-10. He is going to want every single win imaginable. That paired with the fact that I'm bearish on the Cowboys and a little bearish on, compared to the public, on 2 of their games that other people are chalking up as losses, Broncos and the Niners. This is not a bet, but I will go over with the New York Giants. You just have to get to 6 wins. The reason I can't make it a bet is because I'm not a Russell Wilson guy. And if they bench him, then they're going to a rookie not second round pick, rookie late first round pick, who even if he ends up being good, it's still a rookie quarterback starting, in year one. And so I will go over for the New York Giants. I feel like that's one you like. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a low win total. I like that. I mean, I believe in Russ a little bit more than you do. He can get 6 wins. They can pull together 6. And
the way it hits the under is that because of that tough early schedule, they pull the ripcord on Russ early. They go to the rookie, and the rookie's not yet ready. Right. But that D-line should be worth 4 wins by itself. Can the offense find you at least 2 wins with Malik Neighbors? I think so. All right, Eagles. Over-unders at 11.5. Juice has changed on this. You're now getting plus money on the over, minus 150 on the under. This also is not a bet, DeMonze, because I think 11 wins is where it lands. But if I think 11 wins is where it lands, right, that means I'm going under. And so I will take the Eagles under. I am not trying to argue with Philly fans. And Philly fans, honest to God, public service announcement. And DeMonte, I'd like you to back me up on this if you would. Let me get this correct. I'm pretty affable in public. Like, people come, have you ever, and I'm not acting like I'm some big star or anything, but people ask for pictures or for a moment or whatever. Have you ever once seen me say no? Ever once?
No, honestly, I haven't. I don't
Never.
think so. Yeah.
Never once. I might start under very specific circumstances. The next fucking person that comes up to me and says, "Hey, Nick, blah, 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 can I have a picture?" And I say, "Yeah, of course. How are you doing?" And then as they are getting ready to take the picture, they say something about the Eagles Super Bowl. It happened twice at the U.S. Open. Last night, one guy including being like, the Eagles are going to repeat and the Sixers are going to win it. And now I'm like, I don't even know which Sixers of these things to respond to. Like, I like the Sixers. My buddy runs the team. But that's a terrible take. And like it just.
So you're saying they're playing it cool at first? They're like, "Hey, Nick Wright,"
yes,
and then like once the phone comes out, they're like, "Hey, by the way."
And occasionally, DeMonze, they ask for a picture, they slide the thumb over to video, and then start talking.
Oh, and they're recording. Yeah, that's annoying. That's annoying.
I'm just trying to have a honeydew. Watch a German play a Dane in tennis. Leave me alone.
Hey, man, give the guy his moment.
Now, again, exception exists when I go to Philly to gamble. If I go to Philly, I'm setting myself up to get heckled. Right. That's fine. But we're on a neutral site. You know what I mean?
Tennis.
It happened in...
Yeah, it's a different sport, too.
Tennis, and it happened, a group of women, I told you this, in Monaco. That one of them... I didn't tell you this.
I don't think I heard of this.
A group of women confronted me about my Jalen Hurts opinion at the casino in Monaco. Really, one woman with her 2 friends, and the friends apologized, and then that same woman talked a little trash to your mom.
Dude, Jalen Hurts has got boots on the ground everywhere.
Boots on the ground, bro. I gotta keep my head on a swivel. With that said, I'll take the under. Very, very tough schedule. I think that the defensive losses, Danny mentioned this on the TV show, they lost like 4,400 snaps from last year's team to this year's team, the majority of which on defense in, free agency and retirement, all that stuff. I think they'll be really good. I don't think they're going to be 12 or 13 wins good. I'll take the under, which leaves us with the Commanders, over under at 9.5, even money. This might surprise you. I'm going over.
Yeah.
The reason I thought it might surprise you is because I have been cast as a Jayden skeptic. I am not a Jayden skeptic. I am a skinny quarterback skeptic. There is a difference. Now, he is a skinny quarterback, which is, SAT question style, if this, therefore that. I guess that does make me a Jayden skeptic. But, yeah, logic, exactly. But it is not about his ability. And I like the fact that they invested in the offensive line, which was a problem. I like the Deebo Samuel trade. And I also like the fact that they're like, you know what, we can't fix the defense, in one draft. So what if we patchwork it with some veteran free agents for the time being and try to build it up? So I like the Commanders over 9.5. I do think they go back to the playoffs. I think that they in Philly, this is where picking division winners like I did on the TV show is a little weird. In my math on this, I had the Commanders and the Eagles both finishing 11-6 and splitting the season series and both going 4-2 in the division. So I then determined, am I really going to figure out on my fake 272 game grid of results who would win this tiebreaker? And I decided, you know what? I just think the Commanders are going to win the division. I have them both finishing 11-6. Am I going to do all of a sudden strength of schedule tiebreakers on a fake grid of games that hasn't happened? Probably not. But I think the Commanders should be good, but it's not a bet. The only bet I have in the NFC East is the Cowboys under. So for the NFC East, unders, Cowboys and Eagles, overs, Giants and Commanders, and that now gets us to the NFC North. And DeMonze, start us off with the first team listed.
So the Bears over-unders listed at 8.5, and you're taking the over at plus 115. I thought about betting them to get 10 wins. I think that was like plus 220 or something like that. It might have been over one of the wins or something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, one of the alternate, it would have been probably around, if they're 8.5 is plus 115, over 9.5 would probably be plus, around 200. Yeah, it was like, right. I resisted the urge to pick them to win the division. I'm resisting the urge to, make bold proclamations about how they are going to do, in the postseason. However, I think they had an excellent offseason. I think they had a massive upgraded head coach. They lost some absolute heartbreakers last year. Not just the Jayden Daniels Hail Mary game, the Thanksgiving game we watched together, which was a train wreck. I just think they're good. I'm not saying they're going to be great, and I think I obviously overrated how quickly Caleb would be ready last year, and I maybe, in my opinion, overrated their defense a bit as well. And so I am learning from that, but I still think they're going to be above 500. And so with a couple breaks last year, they would have won 7 or 8 games with bad coaching and Caleb really being over his skis for a bit of it. So I will take and I will bet the Bears over 8.5. You can get them over 9.5, DeMonze, at plus 190, over 10.5 at plus 300. The bet you might have seen was exactly 10 wins, and I don't like those bets. I don't like the exact record because you can be right in spirit and lose the bet.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're like, oh, the Bears are going to be good. I'm going to bet them to win 10
when
games.
I was scrolling through the app, I didn't even realize that if that was the thing. I thought it was just for them to get 10 plus.
It was. So maybe it was and the juice has changed. So I'm not sure. I don't know what you saw. I'm just saying as a gambling note from me, I'm always hesitant on the exact record bets because there's nothing worse than being right on a bet and losing it. Yeah. So if your argument is I like the Bears to go 10-7 because I think they're going to be better than people think, and then somehow they go 11-6 and you lose the bet. That's just a killer. So it's just not my. You usually get sick odds on it, but it's not my favorite. All right, Lions over under is at 10.5 with plus 120 on the over, minus 145 on the under. This is a huge stay away from me, but because we give out all picks on this show, I am obligated to pick a side here. If it's this close, then I have to go with the plus money side. So I will say over, but I don't love it. I think 10-7, 11-6 is very, very in play for Detroit this year. Very tough schedule, tough division. The loss of the coordinators matters. The shuffle on the interior of the offensive line matters. On the flip side to that, they do get their defensive players back. I imagine, DeMonze, you like this as an over stronger than I do.
Not strong. Probably just about the same, but it is plus 120, so I would lean over on that. But yeah, they did get a lot of guys back that they had injured last year, so I feel like it kind of balances out.
If there is going to be a season from hell for Detroit, which I don't anticipate, but if there is going to be, it'll be because the playoff game screwed with Goff.
Right.
And I don't think we can dismiss that as a possibility. I'm not predicting it, but I don't think we can dismiss it full on as a possibility that being that close to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, them not having it, and then having his worst game of the year in their first playoff game, and then also not having Ben Johnson in his ear, that all of that comes together and he has a tough season. That's the recipe for them having oh my God, the Lions win 7-10. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be that'd be the recipe for it. But I will go over by the thinnest of margins. All right. Packers total 9.5 with even money on the under, which I like because I'm going under for the Green Bay Packers. Yes.
9.5.
So I am, it's not a bet. Thus far, the only NFC bets we've made is a Cowboys under and a Bears over. I just think they're going to win 9 games. And I'm not as high on the Packers defense as everyone else seems to be. And while I do like their draft pick Matthew Golden, the rookie receiver, and I do think of all of their, that huge room of good but not great receivers, I think he's the one guy who has a chance to be a great receiver. Hard to rely on him in year one to be a great receiver. Listen, Brian Thomas Jr. did it, Malik Neighbors did it, but still, it's hard at that position to be great year one. But here's the other factor of it that I just don't think that I am putting into this that it doesn't seem like other people are. I know Derrick Henry is ageless. And I know that Christian McCaffrey prior to last year, you know what I mean, had this amazing year. Saquon had the amazing year. Is Josh Jacobs going to look like a 28-year-old running back normally does, or the way some of those other guys have? Because I think Josh Jacobs has been an underrated addition for them. And I think a large part of their success last year was he had I can't even call it sneaky, just an awesome season. 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4.5 yards per carry. What if, after he's now over 1,600 career carries, 6 straight years, none of which missing real big time? Like, what is Josh Jacobs going to look like? And this is what I said about Jordan Love yesterday on the TV show, DeMonte, and tell me if you think it's fair. I'm not yet ready to say he guarantees you a floor for your team. Like, he hasn't graduated to listen, when he's been his 2 years as a starter, he has. I just don't know if that's I feel like he and CJ both might end up stars. I think they have established they are quality starting franchise quarterbacks. but I don't yet know if they are in the, man, if he's healthy, unless there's just a disaster on your team, you should win at least 10 games.
Yeah, I
And
think that's fair. Like last year, he was dealing with the injury from the start. I think this year, you kind of have a better idea of who he is in the ceiling.
And the talent is really impressive. Sometimes the decision making seems less so. So I'm curious how that plays out this year. Yeah, and so it's not a. I have the Packers finishing third in the division, and it sounds like an indictment. But if I think they're going to win 9 games, finish third, like that doesn't make you a bad team. It's tough division, which leaves me with just one team for last, and this is a bet, and it is the Vikings win total of 9.5. I understand they won 14 games last year. Under 125 is where we are going with that, DeMonze. And Brian Flores is awesome. Are they going to, though, have that number of turnovers last year when they had a great scheme? He's a great D coordinator, but turnovers fluctuate so much year to year. It's hard to rely on that. I know they got great production from Kirk Cousins. They got great production from Sam Darnold. And by the end of the year, if they got the pick right with J.J. McCarthy, they should have great production from J.J. McCarthy. With all that said, he didn't play a ton of college ball. He missed all of last year. It seems like there were varying reports on how he looked in training camp from the people on the ground there. It just feels like this is a bit of a reset year for Minnesota, which, by the way, I think they're fine with. I think they expected last year to be the reset year, but they expected to do it with a rookie quarterback. Instead, Darnold played the best ball of his life. If they are a double-digit win team again and J.J. McCarthy looks really good, then even though he hasn't won a playoff game yet, we have to probably elevate Kevin O'Connell. I already think Kevin O'Connell's good, but if you can get double-digit wins with Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, and then J.J. McCarthy is a first-year player coming off an injury, that'd be wildly impressive. But I think, excuse me, I apologize. I think they could go 7-10 and be okay with it's the wrong word. Feel okay going into the 26th season if they're like, all right, we have the upside of this quarterback. He's young, he's cheap. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's great. So I will bet the Vikings under 9.5. So through 2 divisions, DeMonze, our bets are Cowboys under 8.5, Vikings under 9.5, and Bears over 8.5. We will get to the South and the West in just a moment. But first, the rivalries, the marching bands, the upsets. Saturdays just got way more fun. College football is back. You think you know the game? Put your college football knowledge to the test with DraftKings Sportsbook and turn your picks into big payouts. From live betting during the game to rivalry week odds, boosts, and so much more, DraftKings Sportsbook has everything you need to stay in the action from kickoff to the final whistle. Whether you're betting on your go-to team or making moves mid-game as the momentum shifts, Saturdays are yours to own with DraftKings Sportsbook. Number 1 Texas is a 1.5-point dog at Ohio State this Saturday. It is the first time in more than 50 years, or at least 50 years, that the number 1 team is an underdog in week 1. That speaks to the fact that the number 1 team in the nation almost never plays a huge road game in week 1, but that is what we are getting this week. Of course, lines and odds are subject to change. And here's something that is just unbelievable for first-timers, new customers. Bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Wright. That's code Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, to get, for new customers, to get $300 in bonus bets instantly. When you bet just $5 in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. All right, DeMonze, let's get to the NFC South. And one that, you know what, guys? I'm going to add this team to our official overs.
Yeah.
Sorry if we need to adjust some graphics. I apologize. I thought I had this in my official overs already, and I didn't. My bad. The Falcons, 7.5, just 7.5 wins at minus 140. So the argument for the Falcons is last year, despite Kirk Cousins legitimately falling apart and it being a new head coach who I like and a new system and all that, they still won 8 games. Last year, Bijan looked like the player that I knew he would be. They started 6-3 with one of those losses being a bit of a heartbreaker to the Chiefs. And then after that, it really unwound on them as Cousins was pretty clearly cooked. And then they go to Penix late in the year. And even then, week 17, overtime loss to Washington. Week 18, overtime loss to Carolina. Now, that's not good, Carolina. But they won 8 games.
And they're in the
so
NFC
now you
South.
Well,
yeah, I think the Saints and the Panthers, that's 4 wins right there. I mean, they did just lose to them last year, but I think that's good for 4.
No, those are 2 of the worst teams in the league. I totally agree with you on that, and that's part of it. Like, can they go 4-2 in the division? I think so. You go 4-2 in the division to get to 8 wins. Your other games are as follows: Minnesota, Washington, not Buffalo, San Francisco, not easy. Miami, New England, Indianapolis, the Jets, the Seahawks, Arizona, the Rams. Like your non-divisional games early are pretty tough. You have some nice soft ones in the middle, but you need to get to 8 wins. You have 4 against Carolina and New Orleans. You have another against Miami. You have another against the Jets. You have 2 more against Seattle and Arizona. And again, it's not like I think Seattle and Arizona are going to be terrible, but there's 8 games. If you go 6-2 in those 8, can you go 2-7 in your difficult games? I think so. I actually think this team is a sneaky playoff contender because of the schedule. Not because they're a great team, but because of the division they're in and because of the conference they're in. And so one of my bets will be Falcons over 7.5 at minus 140. And now we get to the tricky ones, DeMonze, which is the Panthers total is 6.5 and the Saints total is 4.5. And the problem is, in handicapping this, these teams do play each other. And I do think they're both, like, I am going to go under on the Panthers and over on the Saints. And I'm here to tell you, I do not love going over on the Saints. But 4.5 is such an outrageous number. And it wouldn't be crazy if the Saints go 2-0 against Carolina. And now all of a sudden you only need 3 more victories on your schedule. I don't believe the Panthers are going to get to 7. So that's an easy under, but I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to have a significant investment on the NFC South, but it is not either of these teams. I know you have a follow-up you want to ask me about the Saints.
Yeah. Do you have any interest in them to have the fewest wins in the NFL at plus 400?
No, but it's interesting. Like, I don't think that's a dumb bet, but my answer to that is no. I think there's 3 or 4 teams this year that have a chance to be truly awful. They're one of them, so maybe at plus 400, I think it's 3 or 4. but I'm not gonna do a worst team in the league bet, because the other piece of that makes it tricky is there are a few teams that are an injury at quarterback away from all of a sudden just wanting to be awful. Yeah. And by the way, the Browns exist, and the
Colts are plus 1,400. By the way,
I know I'm fading the Colts, but that's worst team in the league is tough, and also worst team in the league is a bet that you never can lock up. Like the Patriots were the worst team in the league all year last year. Week 18,
stressed out the whole
Bills,
season.
the Bills basically give them the game, and all of a sudden they're drafting fourth. Like, it's just I don't love that bet. I do love this bet. The Bucks over 9.5, minus 120. I think Tampa, DeMonze, is gonna win a bunch of games. A bunch of games. I'm not saying they are necessarily the best team in the NFC. I am saying I think they have a real path to being the 1 seed.
Yeah. I mean, they're top 3 easily. I mean, in that division, I feel like. So, beat the other 2.
Oh, because of the division, they're top 3 in the conference.
Not division, conference. I feel like in that conference, they're one of the top 3 teams.
I mean, I think they're going to start 3-0 at Atlanta, at the Texans, home for the Jets. And obviously, Texans are a good team. I think Tampa's better.
Right.
They have a tough stretch of Eagles, Seahawks, Niners, Lions. And then after that, DeMonze, here is how the Bucks, when I say close the season, I mean their final 10 games, okay? At the Saints, home for the Pats, at the Bills really hard, at the Rams tough, home for the Cardinals, home for the Saints, home for the Falcons, at the Panthers, at the Dolphins when they will have quit, home for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Like, could the Bucks start 5-2? Or you know what? Could they start 4-3 and finish 12-5? Yeah, absolutely. And so I think the schedule, plus I really like Ibuka, the rookie receiver. Godwin will be back at some point, and they'll have 3 legitimate receivers. I like their running back, Bucky Irving. Tristan Wirfs, I want to make sure I'm right about this. Did he clear the PUP list? He passes his physical, as did Godwin. So they're at least on the active roster. Does that mean they're going to play week 1? Not necessarily, but it does mean they're a bit ahead of schedule. I love the Bucks. I love the schedule. I love Bake Show. Also, Baker, DeMonze.
MVP?
It's not a terrible pick. I think they're not, because I don't think their defense is going to be great. I know their defense isn't going to be great. So they're going to have to score a bunch. But also, this is a de facto contract year for him. He's got a year left after this one, but if he has another excellent season, he's one of those $55 million a year men. And so I'm all over the Bucks this season, over 9.5, and you might hear more about my feelings on the Bucks later in the pod. Let me put it like that. Okay? Yeah. So that could be coming up in a bit. All right, now to the NFC West, where we have the Cardinals total at 8.5 with a little juice on the under. I will go with the under. Listen, Jonathan Gannon is trying to build out the defense. He might finally have some of the personnel to do that. And I still believe Marvin Harrison Jr. can be an unbelievable pro, even though he had a disappointing rookie year. But you know I'm not a Kyler guy. I got questions on their O-line. I just don't think they're going to be above 500. So I will go under on the Cardinals 8.5. Go ahead.
Yeah, what happens with the Cardinals if they're like, what's going to happen with Kyler Murray? feel
Well,
like,
he's
but
probably the
yeah, I agree.
Steelers quarterback in a year.
Oh, okay, yeah, I agree with that as well. I don't like the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, don't you think the Steelers trading for Kyler sounds about Steelersy?
it sounds like something the Steelers would do 100%.
Yeah. It feels
Yeah.
like Kyler Murray, starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, week 1 of next year, feels about like the plan. And the Cardinals, kind of start over. That's what I would think. Maybe I'm just making that up, but it feels like that is a real possibility.
Grab him.
I guess the Colts too. The Colts just went veteran, then they drafted Anthony Richardson. Snap gave up on him. Maybe they go back to a veteran, but a team like that. All right, Rams. I think this will surprise people. This is not one of my bets. I am going over with the Rams for 9.5. However, I am not going to put money on it because of the Stafford question. I think with a healthy Stafford, they are incredibly dangerous. I think that they could, if Matt Stafford is healthy by the playoffs, then I'll feel about them this year the way I did last year. They could win the conference. But that amortal chamber and missing that time, even if part of it was a wink and a nod, you can have, a lot of training camp off, like you've speculated a bit, DeMonze. It does seem like there was at least something there. So I don't want to bet the Rams, but I do think they're going to win the division. I do think they're the best team in that division, but I don't want to have a bet on the Rams, and then by week 6, it's like in starting his 3rd straight game, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah. That's a nightmare. And so I don't want to do that.
Thanks.
And then the Niners, one of my favorite bets of the year, under 10.5. This is the least talent they've had on defense since Shanahan's first year there. They have just totally had to remake. Fred Warner's amazing. Nicky Bosa's really, really good. Aside from that, it's a bunch of young guys that it's a hope and a prayer. The wide receiver core is just ravaged. I mean, they have signed they traded for Sky Moore. I think they signed MVS. It's a bunch of guys who, while Patrick Mahomes can throw touchdowns to them in the Super Bowl, I do not know that Brock Purdy is going to get the most out of them. And listen, I think Christian McCaffrey, when healthy, is a top 3 back in the league. I think that's undeniable. But the health
Germany,
is a concern.
Though. Yeah.
Say it again.
I mean, I think you had to go to Germany to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like if you got to do all that, it's serious. It's
correct. And Kittle has shown no signs of slowing down, but he's at an age where you have to incorporate. There's a chance he does. And they lost their backup left tackle to the Chiefs in free agency. Trent Williams, future first ballot Hall of Famer, but he did miss some time last year. The oldest starting tackle in the league. Feels like you're on a knife's edge, and we have seen what Purdy's numbers are, what happens to that team when Trent Williams is out. All those reasons, and the fact that they could win the division, make the playoffs, and the under still come in because it's 10.5. And I know the one thing I'm not saying that everyone else is going to say, the schedule. Despite all that, I will go under 10.5. And then that leaves us Seattle. This is, to me, a true coin flip, so we don't have to spend much time on it. It's set at 8.5, even money on the over. I will go under, but I don't have much. They are an 8, 9, 9, and 8 team to me. And so we don't have to, because I don't have a super strong feeling on it, we don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Give us, DeMonze, the full, well, I will give us the NFC, then you give us the whole thing. The bets we are making in the NFC are the Cowboys under 8.5 at -145, the Bears over 8.5 at +115, the Vikings under 9.5 at -125, the Falcons over 7.5 at -140, the Bucks over 9.5 at -120, the Niners under 10.5 at minus 130, which gives us, you don't have to tell us the odds on these, DeMonte, but give us all the overs and the win total, the teams and the win total.
So overs, we got Jags over 7.5, Chiefs over 11.5, Raiders over 6.5. We got the Bears over 8.5, and Tampa Bay over 9.5, and Atlanta over 7.5.
So the only big number over I have is Kansas City. Not surprising, I'm sure. And the only team on there with a low number that I think could smash it is the Raiders at 6.5. All right, let's go to unders.
Unders, you got the Bengals under 9.5. We got the Colts under 7.5. Broncos under 9.5. Cowboys under 8.5. With the Vikings under 9.5, and then the Niners under 10.5.
Yeah, and the only team on there that I think might smash it is the Colts. I don't think any of those other teams are going to all of a sudden win 3 or 4 games. I get, you know what? The Niners are a Christian McCaffrey and or Trent Williams missing 6 weeks away from potentially winning 6 games again with that defense, so they could smash it, but that's 12. Last year we did 10. We did 8 last year because we went 6-2. We gave you all 32, but our bets, and here's why we only did 8 last year. Because I got too cute. Because I did a bunch of, there's a better way to bet this. And I did a division or a playoff or whatever, and I got annihilated on those. So this year we're going to be smarter. We will get to our other more manicured wagers that we're making and less parlays in just a moment. But first, ever sign up for a phone plan thinking, wow, amazing price. Then a few months later, surprise, bills higher. With Boost Mobile, you pay $25 a month forever. That's unlimited talk, text, and data starting at just $25 a month. No price hikes, no contract, forever. Plus, Boost Mobile is now a legit 5G network. They've invested billions building 5G towers across the country. Visit boostmobile.com or head to your local Boost store today and get unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month forever. 5G speeds not available in all areas. After 30 gigs, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost plan. All right, DeMonte, make miss playoff bets, which involve a bunch of redundancy to my over-unders, which I'm fine with. Last year, I made the mistake by bifurcating them to try to minimize losses. This year, I'm going with the ones I truly believe in and betting them in multiple spots. Instead of doing like multiple units on a win total, we'll do it like this. First one, go ahead and tell the audience. You can make fun of me.
We've got the Jags at plus 180 to make the playoffs. I've got them too. I'm riding with you on that one.
Okay, yeah. And I'm being, I think, conservative. Because I'm not having them win the division. I'm having them make the playoffs at plus 180. It's the biggest year of Trevor's career. I think he comes through. DeMonte, the next one is probably the most juice I've ever laid on this show, but I don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Chiefs to make the playoffs at minus 380.
Was that money laying on the ground? Why didn't I pick it up? You can say you're gonna lay. Yeah, I am. I'm gonna lay minus 380, and you can be like, Nick, what if Patrick gets hurt? I got bigger problems than a damn Chiefs make the playoffs bet if Patrick gets hurt. I'll tell you that much right now. And so the Chiefs, and so that means I'm gonna have to risk the way these. I should have made this clear for our new listeners. All of our plus bets, unless otherwise specified, all the plus bets we put 1 unit on. All the minus bets we put enough. If it's minus 140, we put 1.4 units on it. We put enough to win 1 unit. So the Chiefs, I'm putting 3.8 units to win 1. but that's fine. This one here, however, like I said, unless otherwise specified, this next one is a half unit bet, and the one following it is a quarter unit bet. Go ahead.
You got the Raiders to make the playoffs at plus 340.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked a ton about the Raiders in a bunch of spots. I just like the value at plus 340. This one's going to shock people, I would imagine, but I'll explain it in a second.
I'm people. Giants at plus 500 to make the playoffs.
All right. So the producer's wondering, if I believe the Giants can make the playoffs, why not also bet them to win at least 6 games? Because here's the deal. I don't actually think the Giants are going to be really good. However, there has to be the shock playoff team. I have cast my lot with it being the Raiders. Is there an argument that Russell Wilson channels something, that D-line, Malik Neighbors continues on the ascent, a soft NFC East because maybe Jayden misses time or something? Yes. So I think the Giants check a few of those boxes, and at 5-1, I'm good with it. So that's where I land. And then last but not least, and you're going to see this team all over my gambling card this year.
You got the Bucks at minus 170 to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to win the division, but maybe Penix is unbelievable, and the Falcons with that schedule end up somehow winning the division at least. But the Bucks will. The Bucks are going to win 10 games. 10 games will get them in the playoffs. At least 10 games, I should say. So I just want to have action on the Bucks all over the place. So my make the playoffs bets are Jags, Chiefs, Raiders, Giants, Bucks, with again half unit on the Raiders, quarter unit on the Giants. Now, the always popular miss the playoffs bet.
You love putting this team here. You got the Steelers to miss the playoffs at minus 140.
The Steelers and the Steelers 2 years ago, the Jags ruined me. Last year, the Steelers ruined me. So I don't have. If you remember, the Steelers are not one of my win total bets because maybe Tomlin's going to somehow create enough magic to get to 9 wins. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I'll take them under 140. This next team is the team I've been fading throughout the show. Go ahead.
You've got the Colts minus 260 to miss.
Yeah, I just don't see any scenario where the Colts find their way into the playoffs with Daniel Jones in the AFC. So I don't mind laying minus 260. And in fact, you're going to see them somewhere else as well in one of my very few this year parlays. Next.
You've got the Broncos to miss at plus 130.
Yeah, I just like that it's plus money. You guys know that I'm not a believer in the Broncos the way other people are. And what is really unbelievable about where the Broncos stand is it's unlikely, don't get me wrong, but they could hit their over for win total and miss the playoffs. They could go 10-7 and still miss the playoffs. Again, it's unlikely. 10 wins in the 7-game playoff field should get you in, but it's possible. I don't have to spend more time on it. I'm actually going on the radio with my friend Mark Schlereth in Denver tomorrow because everyone wants to yell at me, and that's fine. I'll take the Broncos under 9.5. Or I'm sorry, I'll take the Broncos to miss the playoffs. Go ahead.
You got the Cowboys to miss at minus 210.
Yeah, I almost did this instead of their total, but I decided to double down on Cowboys skepticism this year. I just think a coach I don't necessarily believe in, a drama with the best player on their roster. Yeah, terrible offseason. I'll take them to miss.
You've got the Vikings to miss at plus 100.
Yeah, and this is the first one I'm doing like this, and this is going to sound odd. I'm going to throw 2 units on this one. I just think that it would, in that division, it would be shocking to me if the Vikings somehow find a way into the playoffs. I know they did last year. I know they won 14 games. And I do like Kevin O'Connell, but I am going to fade the Vikings to the tune of betting their under and a 2-unit bet. And then last but not least, again, go ahead.
You've got the Cardinals to miss at minus 140.
Yeah. The only reason, my only trepidation there is, what if Stafford does miss a bunch of time and that division feels wide open for everybody? So that's the extent of my real concern there. I also am going to do one, not multiple like last year, DeMonte, one miss the playoffs parlay. And folks, we're going to put 2 units on this. It is, we'll tell the audience, it's minus 135. Tell the audience who it is.
It's minus 135. You got New Orleans, the Jets, and Cleveland all to miss the playoffs. Jeez.
Hold on, you're leaving one team out. The important
Indianapolis. I'm sorry, the Colts as well.
Yes. Yeah, if you without the Colts, it's like minus 450 or something. I needed to have. Yeah. I mean, New Orleans, the Jets, and the Browns to miss the playoffs feels to me. Now listen, a lot of bets have gone to die this way. This is not sound gambling advice, and again, gamble for recreational purposes. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose. But adding New Orleans to miss the playoffs or Cleveland to miss the playoffs to any preseason bet you make just to give yourself a little extra juice is not it's not sound gambling advice, except it feels like impossible to lose. The team that I am most worried about here blowing this up is actually the Jets. That if just, they run the hell out of the ball, Aaron Glenn gets more out of the defense than Saleh did. If those things happen, that they would be my concern, but I don't really have any concern. I think these are 4 last place teams. Okay. 4 teams that I would be very surprised if they didn't finish in last place in their division. Okay. So that leaves us, DeMonte, with our division winner bets, our division winner parlay if it exists, and DeMonte's 5 best bets, which again, last year, he made 5 bets and won. Jayden Daniels to win Offensive Rookie of the Year at 6-1. The Chiefs to win the AFC at 3.5-1, and Baltimore to win the AFC North at plus 145. 3 plus money winners. All of that, DeMonte, coming on Tuesday's show. So we will do our final NFL season preview plus the juiciest parts of our gambling shows. And so all of that is coming up. We're finally here. I mean, we have gotten to where the next time we're on the air, we will be talking about Ohio State, Texas, which will have just been played, and will be 2 days away from the open of the NFL season. And for the first time in years, I get to watch the first game of the NFL season without being stressed about my team being involved. That's the one upside to your team not winning the Super Bowl. Again, I don't recommend it, but we're a bright side show. We try to find it. Like, rate, subscribe, review. Appreciate everyone involved in the show today. Volume Boost, DraftKings, Blue Duck, DeMonte, everybody. Apologies for the tight 60. I told you I was going to do it, though. I will see you guys on TV in a few hours. What's right?